This clip is sponsored by Wash and Go, and that can only mean one thing. That's right, I'm surrounded by a sea of green. By now you should know that Wash and Go is the best way to look after your luscious locks. I mean, look at what it's done for mine. Fantastic. But you don't have to take my word for it. Just look at some of the 600 plus unreal reviews on their Amazon page. Linda from the United Kingdom says, well, it smells lush and leaves hair smelling fresh. Fantastic, Linda. Kindle customer JSB says, product arrived as advertised. Always very important. Always important to know that, Kindle customer JSB. And finally, my personal favourite, it's shampoo and it works for me. Absolutely fantastic there from Casey. It is indeed shampoo and also a conditioner. If you want to get your Wash and Go today, then hit the link in the description and get your bottle sent to you today. And remember, it's a shampoo and it works for me. To leave. But let me frame this, flop or not. Maybe it'll be a show that we can do quite a well, I don't want it to be a regular feature, but we can call it that when we're discussing it. Let me frame it for you, because I was going to talk about it anyway, and then I saw a very good tweet from Jan Fjortoft. You might not agree with it, I don't think I do, but it just feeds into what I want to talk about Van der Beek. So basically he quote tweeted a Guardian article saying the mystery of Donny van der Beek, Manchester United's player. And he quoted it and said, could it be that Van der Beek just isn't good enough? People say he hasn't had chances. Could it be that he has not got enough chances because he's not good enough? And none of the Man United managers have picked him regularly because he's not good enough. So, you know, and I don't think some people would disagree with Jan on that one. That, you know, people say he's not had chances. Maybe it's because he's not good enough. More than one Manchester United manager hasn't picked him. Is that because he's not good enough? And I certainly read the chats when we're live, and I think there will be people in the chat who totally agree with that. So let's just spend a few minutes before we get into your questions, and I want to talk about Rangnick's big decisions, and then we'll get into your questions. But is Donny van der Beek a flop? Now, is Anthony Martial a flop? Because if Anthony Martial's a flop, Donny is definitely a flop, because Anthony Martial, whatever you think about it, I mean, I saw some stats from the season before last. Goals and assists in the amount of games he played, he was fantastic. His first season at the club, he was fantastic. So, you know, is Martial a flop? I mean, he's probably not hit the consistent heights that we wanted to, but to call somebody a flop when they actually did deliver for a couple of seasons is difficult. And if Martial's a flop, then Donny's a flop, isn't he? So I don't think Martial is a flop. But back to Donny. You know, you could argue Fred's a flop. 50 million quid. What's Fred done? You know, really, for 50 million quid? He's done okay, but, you know, if he'd cost 20 million, I think I'd go, yeah, he's done okay. You know, did Dan James flop at 15 million pounds? He did okay. He was very cheap. So does he flop? I think price has to go next to expectation and what somebody delivers. Is Donny van der Beek a flop? Well, let me just answer those points that Jan said. So Jan said, people say he's not been given enough chances, but maybe he's not been given enough chances because he's not good enough. That is a good point. I believe it's a good point. Maybe he's not good enough to be given chances. Okay. To which I would say this. If you think Donny van der Beek's not good enough and that's why he's not been given chances, that's absolutely fine if your midfield three consists of De Bruyne, Gundogan and Rodri. Because they play well every week. And he mustn't be good enough then. If he doesn't get game time, he mustn't be good enough. And that would be very easy for United fans to understand. If he was leaving, if we had Rodri, Gundogan and De Bruyne as our midfield three, and after 2 years, Donny's hardly played at all, and he's off to Palace, you'd just go, it's a shame, but he's just clearly not good enough. So I think Jan's on the right track. But where it falls apart is that we have seen, especially this season, Matic, McTominay and Fred, and mainly McTominay and Fred because Matic hasn't played that much, I know there's been good performances. I know Fred and McTominay on the opening day against Leeds played well. And I know that Fred played well against Palace. And I know that McTominay played well in the second half against Brentford and in the entire game against Burnley. But how many other games have they played where we can't say that? How many games have they played badly? And that is where the theory that Van der Beek hasn't been given chances because he's not good enough, it just falls apart and disintegrates. Because we haven't got Rodri, Gundogan and De Bruyne. We've got McFred and Matic, and they haven't played well for most of the season. So it doesn't wash with me to say, well, he's not good enough. That's why he doesn't get game time. Because I've seen some horrific midfield performances this season from Matic, McTominay and Fred. So, you know, so bad that I think, you know, a Preston North End midfielder should be given a chance. So you're telling me a Champions League semi-finalist, one of the best midfielders up and coming in Europe 2 years ago, can't be given a chance ahead of Fred and McTominay when they're playing as bad as they have done at times this season? It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. And then it doesn't make any more sense when he comes on against Watford and he's the best player on the pitch and then doesn't get a chance again. Or at the end of last season, he plays next to Matic and dominates the midfield. Like, I know they're isolated incidents when he's played well, but it's isolated incidents when he plays. It just doesn't make any sense. And look, I'll never expose people who tell me information close to the team, but it's well established anyway that a lot of players don't understand why Van der Beek's not been given more opportunities. And what generally, when I've spoken to people about this, they said it's different under Rangnick. The reason under Rangnick is different to the reason it was under Ollie. The reason under Ollie that Donny didn't get game time is because Ollie had his favourites. He never dropped Bruno. He never dropped Rashford. He never wanted to drop McTominay and Fred. He put Pogba on the bloody wing to put McTominay and Fred in the midfield. He was obsessed with them. So there was never really an opportunity for Donny to play because he would always play Pogba, Bruno and McTominay and Fred ahead of Donny. So there was nowhere for him to play anyway. Under Rangnick, it's more confusing. So on the second point that Fjortov says, I think we can answer the whole he's not good enough to get a chance because, come on, the crap that's been playing this season and he's not been given a chance, that doesn't make sense. And on the second point, 2 managers haven't picked him. Well, you know, that's like saying, you know, I want to marry 2 separate women, not at the same time. And they both say no to me. They don't say no for the same reason, unless they're twins. And even then they'll have different reasons. So Ollie wasn't picking Donny because of favouritism. I don't know why Rangnick's not picking him. I don't. I actually don't. And that's the one that puzzles me the most and probably worries me the most. I don't trust Ollie when it comes to development because Ollie didn't pick Delot. And we've seen that Delot's our best right back over the last month. So do you want me to trust... You know, you can't use that. You can't say, well, he must be crap because 2 managers didn't pick him. You can't compare Ollie to Rangnick. Goldbridge, that's the end of the clip. I'm sure you enjoyed it. In fact, I bet that's the best clip you've ever watched. So there's no reason not to subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon so you never miss a clip again. In fact, smash a like on the video because we all know only legends like videos and you are all legends. So please smash a like on the video and we will see you again on the next one. Thank you very much for watching as always.